Okay, so I've got myself the Wuben X0 versus the X1 and the X2, and we'll start off with the X0 first on turbo. Okay, look at that. I'm actually amazed that it manages to reach right to the end of those trees, tints those trees. Okay, and the beam pattern is also so wide, it's got like almost like a 180 degree beam pattern. You can see right into the peripherals. Okay, and let's put this up against the X2. We'll turn it off first, turn it back on, and then activate the turbo, and we'll do the same with the X2. Okay, there's the X2 and the X1. Okay, X2. And of course you're going to get a lot more brightness out of the X2. You've got 3 LEDs, 3 P9 LEDs in there, as opposed to just one LH351D. Okay, like a warmer beam on the X0. Okay, and yeah, definitely the X0 does ramp down pretty quickly. Look at that, you can barely sort of see it now. If I turn it on again, double click again, it's pretty bright again. But again, it just depends as well, because if this is the only light that you have on you, when it does ramp down and it's considerably fairly dark nearby, it's still bright enough to do what you need to do. Okay. Oops, turn that on again, double click for the turbo, and again this is the here the X0. What a little pocket rocket, look at that. Incredible. It's holding its lumens quite well too. Okay, there we go, that's the X0. Yeah, you can see with the X0 it's got more of this hot spot in the center, and then a very nice sort of spill pattern, wide spill pattern all into your peripherals. Okay, X2. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare the high mode on the X1 to the left, and I'm going to compare it to the turbo on the X2. They should be pretty similar. So that's high on the X1 here to the left. Okay, and it's able to sustain that for a long period of time. And let's try the X2. And look at that, like pretty similar, I'd have to say. Pretty similar. Let's have that. There you go, that's the X1 and the X2. X1, it's got a pretty diffuse sort of beam again in the middle, but the center has a lot more light. Okay. Get that X2 back on again. And look at that, you can barely tell the difference. Okay, I think the X1 just has a bit more, I mean the spill pattern is just a little bit wider. Okay, a little bit wider and brighter, it seems, but it's kind of similar, to be honest. I mean, it's hard to tell. Maybe I'm just trying to find differences, but I mean together on turbo they both look, I mean, high and turbo on the X2, high on the X1, turbo on the X2. Okay, I want to just test this for a little bit longer to see how long the X2 can hold the turbo mode. You can already see it's starting to dim. Okay, that's the X2, and you've got the X1. Again, it's just holding that 2500 lumens, and it hasn't actually turned on that fan yet in the X1, interestingly. I mean, it's quite a large chunk of metal. Okay, X2. Maybe I can reactivate that turbo again if I turn it off. There we go, back to turbo. So the great thing about the X2 is that you can just keep activating the turbo over and over again until it gets pretty hot. Yeah. And yeah, so if you only need the high mode, and assuming you don't need to have it on for too long, I would suggest getting the X2. otherwise the X1, I mean, this thing just goes on forever. Okay. It's also a little bit warmer. The X1 beam is a bit warmer than the X2's beam. Okay. Now I'm going to have them both on turbo, and you can really see the difference here. So X1 turbo, and they're incredible. Look at that, 12,000 lumens. Okay, and the X2's turbo, I mean, it's just like night and day, really. Okay, 12,000 lumens, 2,500 lumens. Okay, X1 and the X2. X1, I can hear the fan starting to go. It almost reminds me of like a little hard drive. Little hard drive just spinning. Fascinating thing. Okay, X2. Of course, the X2 is ramping down a bit as well, which is good. You need that to happen so that it doesn't burn itself out. Okay. I'm super impressed with the X1. I mean, design is a little bit out there compared to, you know, your usual tube flashlight, but it just works. And from an engineering sort of perspective, I mean, you can just fit all kinds of stuff in here, and this fan, and don't know, just it must be a lot easier to just construct something like that rather than have a tubular design. Okay, there's the X2, X1. Okay.